What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to go over 3 things that you need to know when you go into the Outlast trial. So if you have no idea what this game is, or you had just kind of fired it up, I want to talk about basically, and at least to start off this, that number one, how the game actually works, what you can expect to do when you get into the game. So let's go over it. And again, starting with number one, in terms of how the game actually operates, you're going to start with a tutorial. And it's actually very Outlast-y. You got a mission, you got different things going on, but it's walking you through it. It's walking you through the inventory system. It's walking you through some of the objectives that you'll have to do when you start the base game, whether it's carrying a heavy object or sneaking around, or if you walk on glass, you make noises. So it's basically, you know, a 10, 15, 20-minute level, depending on how fast you go, and it's just trying to get you into what this game is. Then you enter your home base, and this is for pretty much all of the setup of this game. So this is where you're going to be talking to different NPCs, and they'll offer you upgrades, which we'll talk about in a second. You'll see other online people around you, but they're not part of your group just yet. They're just random people walking around. You have your own customizable cell, and it certainly seems like this is where most of that goes. So when you complete a level, you get a whole bunch of different stuff, but one thing you get is money. You get currency, and a lot of that currency can get spent in your cell, getting floors, getting wallpaper, getting a different colored bed, and you can show off your room to other online people, or when you're in a group, you know, you'll be able to talk to them. You can show it to them if you wanted to. You don't have to, but that is one of the reasons why it's there. And then there's matchmaking. So you can open up your menu and you can find a group. So you can find a group whether you're looking for one person, 2 people, or 3 people. So 3 people is what I would do, right? I'm in there alone. I look for a group of 3. 3 people join the game. And then after you get your group, it's up to the group leader to pick the level and the mission. So I'm going to try to call them those specific things. So you got 3 different levels or maps, and then in those you have different missions you can do. Now those different missions are also basically different parts of the map. So in a way that makes the game, I would say, a little bit more full than it seems to be, right? Because you think, okay, 3 levels is not that much, but when you have 4 or 5 different things you can choose from in those levels to tackle, that opens it up a little bit more. So you pick the one you want to do and you go into it. And so this now leads us to number 2, the gameplay. So when you're in the levels, how does the gameplay work? Well, number 1, from what I have found, teamwork is absolutely necessary. So look, I don't like, and this may surprise you from me making a video, I don't like talking to people generally. I try to stay quiet. I mainly let other people kind of dictate what we're going to be doing in the levels. I stay quiet and I'll just say yes or no. And so that is important, though. I do think communication, or at least listening to what other people are saying, is incredibly important, because you go in and it's timed. Now, the time is just one aspect of it. It doesn't matter too much. Each level is going to run you maybe 20 to 30 minutes. If you're very, very slow, I think it can run you closer, 29, 30. If you rush it, if you know exactly what you're doing, if you've played the mission more than once, right? Because it is the exact same thing. So when you load up the very first mission of the game, let's say, it is that every time. Now, there's randomized things. So when you have to start power generators, you have to look around for fuel. You have to look around for the generators themselves. They're not always going to be in the same spot. So those things change a little bit, but what you're doing, okay, do the generator, now push this guy, now do this, now do that. That is the exact same for each time you do that level. Again, there's 3 missions or 3 maps in all. Each of them have like 4 or 5 different things to do, so maybe like 15 to 20 in all, let's say. So there is plenty to do, but once you've done them once, you have the gist of it. Now it's just kind of perfecting what you're doing. And so to continue on with that teamwork, you're going to have to communicate with each other. You're going to have to split up when necessary. You're going to have to come back together when necessary to talk and kind of delegate, I guess, tell people what to do, tell people what not to do. You'll be dealing with enemies and different things throughout the levels. So what I find important is to kind of have a varied group. So you do have to play it a couple times, like a couple levels, but once you get, I believe, to level 2 and then to level 3, you start to unlock certain NPCs in that home base area to bring in a special perk. So I brought in a healing kind of spray, which can spray an entire group. There's mines that'll disorient an enemy. So there's 4 in all, and then there's upgrades for them. I think there's like 8 or 9 upgrades each. So you normally want to have a varied group. I think somebody carrying mines is very important, because there's a lot of enemies. You can't kill them. You just have to run and hide from them. They can sometimes tunnel you, which is very, very annoying. So to have somebody spray that can slow them down, I do think is important. I get in trouble a lot in missions, so I need health, so I try to bring in the health spray. And when you do that, that may dictate what you can have in the match, right? So I don't necessarily pick up health ingredients when I'm out into the world. I'll pick up lock picks, or I'll pick up something for battery recharges for your goggles, right? Those are the things I kind of focus on. So you are going to want to scavenge. You are going to want to look around. There's some secret rooms if you find certain buttons. There's a lot of things that are needing lock picks in order to open that'll have some pretty good resources, whether it's large medicine, whether it's, again, recharge things for your rig, which is your mine or your health spray. So you're going to want to spread out. You're going to want to search. You're going to want to try to get as many resources as possible because, again, these missions are kind of long and the enemies do not die. You can die. You can be revived. You can be brought back to life if you are killed while you're down. And so the final part of that, I mentioned money and leveling up and all that stuff. So the last part, let's talk about scoring. So this is really the bread and butter. This is what keeps the game, I believe, or what they want to keep the game playable. So you do the same thing every time, right? It's all about perfecting it. So you get graded at the end. So you get graded personally, and then you have a team average. So if you're, a straight D student, all of you guys get Ds, your overall teamwork is going to get a D as well. And that'll affect how much of the level, how much experience that you get for each thing. If you're good, and I did have a pretty good match one time at least, where we kind of rushed it and we had some experienced players and they knew what they were doing and they kind of helped me and the other new guy, and that helps. So timing, trying to rush through it isn't necessarily important, but kind of doing the perfect run where little damage taken, little noises made, little detection, everything's kind of done really well. Teamwork, it kind of judges you on, did you help a teammate when they were down? So you get judged for pretty much everything you do in each level, and that gets reflected, at the end. Then you get leveling, and once you level up, you get a ticket, which that ticket is then used for those perks and whatnot at your home base, and then you just continue it on. So that's kind of that reoccurring. That's what keeps this game going long-term, is the leveling system and getting currency from that, which, again, you go back to your cell and you customize it and make it look good. And that's pretty much the entirety of the game there. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. Any other tips or anything that I missed that you want to say, let people know, I guess, in the comments below. Make sure you guys are subscribed, bell icon turned on, and I hope to see you all on the next one.